Doing Mount Kenya, for example, Mount Kenya is not tough. It's not very tough. Even the ascent is friendlier. But now when you're doing Kinangop, there's Mount Kinangop. There's
Kinangop is higher than Mount Kenya. I think Mount Kenya is the highest point.
Mount Kenya is the highest point, but it is not as tough.
Why is Kinangop tougher than Mount Kenya?
You can only tell that by hiking
experience.
Yeah, I find, because Kinangop, yes, it's a day. It's something you'll do in one day. People do it in 10 hours, 12 hours. Mount Kenya, you'll do it in, not 3 days. For me, I do it in one night. So I start, and then I sleep at one of the base, and then summit.
So how is the experience like? Like, do you feel maybe spiritual or something like
no,
that?
Do
you
that's
feel different?
That's a lot of hogwash on the streets. You are tired. There's no spirituals doing you. You're just tired. You're cussing. You hate the guide. You want to turn. You are asking yourself why you are on this hike. Trust
but what's
me,
the feeling
all the
like
hikes,
getting at
when
the
you
hike?
get at the summit, now that is it.
How is the feeling like?
Oh, I think that you communicate with the gods. You look down and you're like, oh,
I've made it, Mama, I made it.
And I think the reason why summits are usually so profound, it is because getting to the summit beats you up properly. You want to turn a million times. You get angry. But the guide anakuongelesha, unamrarukia, but you have the option of turning back, but you don't. You keep on pushing. You push, and then now you finally get to the summit. Wow, it's like
flag. Like nasikia kuna.
Yeah, there's a flag. There's a flag.
Certain in the streets. Like there's a certain guy.
You've never gone to Mount Kenya?
You have to take me there.
Oh, we will go because I've climbed Kenya now 7 times.
7 times.
Yes.
Like nasikianga kuna this guy in 1963 when Kenya got its independence. Okay, like as you were saying, how is the experience like, the feeling once you get at the peak?
Hey. Now, I think the thing is, the fact that you have struggled so hard to get there makes summiting the sweetest ever feeling you can ever experience. Like it is like it's just that I can't mention some words, but it's like chocolate heaven and something that starts with an O, and combine.
Right.
You will edit that out. I'll be fired. Anyway, it's chocolate and ice cream and heaven. Yeah. So that, and when you're feeling that way, like I've achieved, I have reached here, I have done it. So you notice that when we hike, when you get to the summit, people don't start like looking at the landscape. They'll be like, oh, people even start crying. Yes. People break down and cry and cry. And then after that, they're like, oh, photos, selfies. And then now that's when you start now looking at around you.
And then it's beautiful, like up there.
Exactly, it is. But some places it's not as beautiful, because I didn't see a lot of beauty with Kilimanjaro the first time I was there. Because by that time, you know, with Kilimanjaro, it gets to a point you start hallucinating.
For real?
For real, yeah.
Like Kishash Kobash.
You know, because it is so high, and then you gain altitude so fast. So some people hallucinate, like you go through all the motions of altitude sickness, like again to a very extreme level. If you have a very good team, they are going to inject you, like utadungwa mashindano za kukusaidia with the altitude. But no matter how well you prepared, because the first time I went to Kilimanjaro, I had climbed Mount Kenya on that weekend, Saturday, and then Wednesday I was starting Kilimanjaro, yes. So you cannot say that I had altitude issues, because I had done all the highest points in Kenya. So when I went to Kilimanjaro, I thought, I'm okay. But by the time I was getting to the summit, I was angry, I was sick, like I was feeling like I want to puke. I almost wanted to give up many times. And by the time I was getting there, it was I was a mess. Like, so And I looked around and at the people who were around me, and everyone was crying. Like, we are here. People cry. People cry. And then now, after that, now that you're like, oh, we have to look nice for the photos. Selfies. Yeah. But hikers would tell you, like, what makes the summit.
It's a bittersweet kind of experience.
Yes, it is. I have made it. I have conquered. Yeah.
So Mount Kenya and Mount Kilimanjaro, those are two different experiences.
Oh, very, very different. People used to say that Kilimanjaro is easier than Kenya, and many people actually still believe it. But so I started thinking, if Kili is easier, I'll start with Kenya, do as many Kenyas, and then do Kili. Kilimanjaro is easy the first 3 days. As a matter of fact, it's almost flat.
It takes how many days?
6.
6 days?
Yes, 6 days.
No, Mount Kenya is just one night.
I do it in one night. But Kilimanjaro, if I pushed myself, I can do it in 3 nights.
But, okay, Mount Kenya is 51.99 if I'm not.
Yes.
Kilimanjaro is 58 something.
Yes. And in height, in hiking,
it's a lot.
That's a lot, because now when we sleep at 5600 in
Kili.
4600, yes, 4600 in Kili. Now you'll go all the way to 58.
Yeah.
So meaning you're going into the sky more than a kilometer of climbing.
And then you are telling me a certain story, like, okay, the people who now go to Everest.
Yes.
Maybe you can tell us something about Everest.
Everest is express. I've never been to Everest myself. Every hiker in Kenya and all over would want to do the 7 summits. 7 summits are the highest points of every continent. The 7 continents, the highest point. So I can proudly say I've done 1 summit.
Africa, Kilimanjaro.
Yeah. So I dreamed, but right now it's not very urgent because I have young kids.
Oh, yeah.
I can't attempt Everest until my kids are a particular age. So Everest, what happens is that it is so high, so high, that these days you cannot go without oxygen. You have to buy oxygen. And I've seen Kenyans, like they go to Everest, but they don't go beyond the base. Because just getting to the base alone is going to cost you a minimum 300,000 and it can go as high as 800,000. Just to get to the base. Nikama Old Moses ya Mount Kenya. Yes.
Just to go to the base.
Yes.
Now you're like the base uko like on top of Mount Kenya.
Yes.
In terms of the altitude and
yes.
everything.
And it is hard to get there. Yeah.
And expensive.
And they have only a short period of hiking. That's why it is extremely expensive to hike. And that's why we were seeing the disaster the other year, because they gave too many permits and very many people died.
Oh, people died?
Yes.
Okay, like people actually dying.
People die, yes.
Mount Kenya people die?
Mount Kenya is not as rampant. Kilimanjaro has a higher mortality rate than Kenya. So, but Everest has a high rate. Because now, like for instance, because one of the causes that people died is some people ran out of oxygen. Because there were so many people, you have to wait for them to pass, because you have to give way. And then there are those trails, it just has to be strictly one person at a time. You cannot joke around with that. Because if you do one stupid thing, you might kill a string of people. Yeah. So there are those things like when it comes to the mountains, and this is something I saw in Kilimanjaro. A week before we went, 4 guys had died in the mountain.
What?
Yes. And they had been told, go follow the guide. And then now one guy said, no, because you go the mountain round like this. You don't go that way. Yeah. So you circumvent it. And one person, I think 1 or 2 people felt, twende straight, we are fit, we are good, we can gain this altitude much faster. And then they slipped or something happened, they slid down the mountain, they passed with 2 other people, and the 4 of them died. Yes.
I was also reading another blog, an article of someone who was someone was attempting to climb Nelion, batian.
Yeah.
And then somehow they slid.
Yes. Well, we see with Mount Kenya, by the land trail, you can get to Lenana. and then the other 2 peaks you use technical climbing, and you must have a guide. You must have a guide, and we call them risk managers or someone. You must have someone to help you facilitate the process, because a slip in those 2 peaks is almost an assured death. Yeah.
So,
but it's not all bad. As we said, hiking has a lot of advantages. If you're struggling with any major diseases, hiking will always sort it out. Yeah, it's a medicine.